Hello and welcome to video lecture series in sociology. Today we are going to discuss chapter 2 titled as Cultural Changes from your textbook Social Change and Development in India. This chapter discusses the cultural changes brought about as a result of British rule in Indian society. The chapter is divided into two main sections. First is social reform movement and the second is processes of cultural change. In the first section, we will discuss the nature of changes that social reform movement brought about during the late 19th and early 20th century in India. In the process of social change, we will discuss specific processes that have altered the cultural fabric of Indian society. These processes are a consequence of the structural changes brought about by the British. Some of these processes which we are going to discuss in this chapter are modernization, Sanskritization, westernization and secularization along with the process of globalization. As you know, in the previous chapter we discussed about structural changes in terms of processes of urbanization and industrialization. Both the processes of urbanization and industrialization influenced the structure of Indian society and altered its cultural fabric. This chapter explores how did it happen. What factors influenced social reform movement and initiated other processes of social change? To begin our discussion on cultural changes, let us start by defining what do we mean by culture. Culture refers to shared aspects of human society including knowledge, language, belief, art, morals, law, practices, rituals, food habits, dressing styles, symbols and customs of any particular group, society or nation. Any change in the established social patterns or norms of behavior is called as cultural change. Culture has two important aspects or dimensions. These are material and non-material. The material is the tangible aspect of culture and it is manifest in the form of artifacts, clothes, food, architecture, etc. Non-material includes intangible aspects of culture existing as values, norms, beliefs and practices that are passed on to successive generations and learned through process of socialization. India was a traditional society. Although India had rich cultural heritage and was repository of knowledge, yet many social evils had plagued Indian society, such as caste-based discrimination, dowry, child marriage, sati, etc. There had been attempts in the history to fight these evils, but these attempts remained isolated and discreet. It was the social reform movement in the 19th and early 20th century that played a decisive role in challenging and uprooting some of these evils. It will be interesting to know about some of the earlier reform movements before discussing social reform movements of 19th and early 20th century. Let us look at the reform movement started by the Sufis. Sufis believed in service to humanity was equivalent to service to God. Sufism stressed upon the elements of love and devotion as effective means of realization of God. The ideas emphasized by Sufis are meditation, good actions, repentance for sin, performance of prayer, pilgrimages, fasting, charity, suppression of passions by ascetic practices. In Sufism, self-discipline was considered as an essential condition to come close to God. Rejecting the belief in observation of blind rituals and external conduct, the Sufis laid stress on inner purity and considered devotion as the only means to attain salvation. Sufism also inculcated a spirit of tolerance and compassion among its followers. Another important movement in history is called as Bhakti movement. Bhakti movement started in South India around 7th century and gradually spread to North India by 13th century. Bhakti movement was based on the idea of love, devotion and absolute surrender before God. Important contributions of Bhakti movement are simplification of worship and emancipation of people from traditional caste rules. The Bhakti movement gave people a simple religion without complex rituals. People were required to show only sincere devotion to God. Bhakti movement led to development of new ideas of life of charity and service to fellow people. It inspired people from all walks of life, irrespective of caste, religion and community. Some of the important figures of Bhakti movement are Ramananda, Ravidas, Srimanta, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Vallabhacharya, Surdas, Mirabai, Kabir, Tulsidas, Guru Nanak, Tukaram, and Namdev. These saints and preachers spoke and wrote in regional languages. Thus, the Bhakti movement also provided an impetus to the development of regional languages such as Marathi, Bengali, and Kannada. Through local languages, these saints made a direct appeal to the masses. Stressing on equality among all, the Bhakti saints condemned the caste system. Bhakti movement also stressed on giving equal importance to women in society. As a result, there was a slight change in the status of women during this time. Although these movements were effective in spreading awareness among masses to some extent, yet it was the social reform movement in early 19th and 20th century that played a decisive role in challenging and uprooting some of these social evils. One may ask that, what was distinct in this movement as compared to the reform movements of the past? Why was this movement more effective? There are three important factors that help us to understand it. These are modes of communication, forms of organization, nature of ideas. Let us discuss these points one by one. About emergence of modern communication. In this era, new technology speeded up various forms of communication. Printing press, telegraph, phone, movement of people and goods through railways helped quick movement of new ideas. With migration and mixing of cultures, people were exposed to modern ideas and they started questioning the tradition. Talking about forms of organization, modern social organizations like Brahmo Samaj in Bengal, Arya Samaj in Punjab were set up. The All India Muslim Ladies Conference, called as Anjuman-e-Khawatan-e-Islam, was founded in 1914. These organizations were effective because they were formal in their functioning. Indian reformers debated about social issues in these forums, in public meetings and media like newspaper and magazines. Translation of writings of social reformers in different Indian languages was also done. For example, Vishnu Shastri published a Marathi translation of Ishwar Chand Vidyasagar's book in Indu Prakash in 1868. Talking about nature of ideas, during this time, new or modern ideas emerged. These ideas emphasized upon liberalism and freedom of individuals. They established value of education. These ideas started challenging inequality in society. An important part was the idea of female education was also debated intensely. The reformers attempted to redefine and restructure traditional roles of women such as wife, homemaker, daughter, and they advocated for widow remarriage. It was seen as crucial for a nation to become modern, but also to retain its ancient heritage by having a self-conscious pride in Indian culture and tradition. It would be interesting to know about the intent and content of social reform movement and social reformers. Let us look at some of the great reformers of 19th and 20th century reform movement. One is Pandita Ramabai. Pandita Ramabai was a social reformer and activist in India. She was born in a Hindu Brahmin family. She started Arya Mahila Samaj and later on converted to Christianity and served widows and helpless women. Another important social reformer is Ishwar Chand Vidyasagar. Ishwar Chand Vidyasagar is known as pioneer of Indian Renaissance. Vidyasagar vigorously promoted the idea that regardless of caste, both men and women should receive good education. He found education as a means of liberation from inequalities, injustices, and prejudices in society. He advocated education for all. If you read his works reveal a strong emphasis on enlightened and secular ideas, with little mention of God and religious facts. Ishwar Chand Vidyasagar sought to transform Hindu society from within. He took the initiative in proposing and advocating the Widow Remarriage Act 15 of 1856 in India. Yet another important figure is Swami Dayanand Saraswati. Swami Dayanand Saraswati is well known as the founder of Arya Samaj, a Hindu reform movement. Denouncing the idol and ritualistic worship prevalent in Hinduism, Swami Saraswati worked towards reviving Vedic ideologies. He was the first to give the call for Swarajya, India for Indians, in 1876, which was later taken up by Lokmanya Tilak. Jyotiba Phule. Jyotiba Phule is regarded as one of the most important figures of social reform movement in Maharashtra. He is also called as the father of Indian social revolution. Jyotiba Phule and his wife Savitribai Phule were pioneers of women's education in India. Phule is well known for his efforts to educate women and lower caste people along with general people. Jyotiba Phule formed the Satya Shodhak Samaj, which means Society of Seekers of Truth, with the main objective of liberating the Bahujans, Shudras and Ati Shudras and protecting them from exploitation and atrocities. His influence is apparent in the fields like education, agriculture, caste system, women's emancipation, widow upliftment, removal of untouchability, fight to attain equal rights for peasants and lower caste people. One of the important social figures is Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Raja Ram Mohan Roy preached about the unity of God, made early translations of Vedic scriptures into English, founded the Brahmo Samaj and campaigned against Sati. Raja Ram Mohan Roy sought to integrate Western culture with Indian tradition. He established schools to modernize system of education in India. Roy attacked the practice of Sati on the basis of appeals to humanitarian and natural rights doctrines. He demanded property rights for women. In 1828, he set up Brahmo Samaj, which was a movement of reformist Bengalis formed to fight social evils. Yet another important figure is Syed Ahmad Khan, also known as Sir Syed. Sir Syed was a social reformer and a modernist. He pioneered modern education for Muslim community in India by founding the Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College, which later developed into the Aligarh Muslim University. His efforts led to the rise of a new generation of Muslim leaders and entrepreneurs. Criticizing rigidity and orthodox outlook of religions, Sir Syed Ahmad promoted Western-type rational and scientific education by establishing modern schools and institutions in India. Other important social reformers are Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa, Swami Vivekananda, Sahu Chhatrapati and B.R. Ambedkar. In sum, the broad theme of this social reform movement was to establish modern and liberal education in India. It attempted to end caste-based inequality and discrimination. It also worked for women's upliftment by allowing widow remarriage and stop child marriage. They also worked towards annihilating sati and dowry. The social reformers strongly argued that for a society to progress, women have to be educated. The issue of female education was discussed by advocates of both modern and traditional ideas. Some of them believed that in pre-modern India, women were educated. Others contested this on the grounds that it was limited to only privileged few castes and classes. 19th century reform movement initiated a spirit of questioning, challenging and reinterpretation of tradition. Reformers actively debated about the meaning and worth of tradition and modernity. This period was a period of intellectual and social growth through modern education. The content of new and modern education was to introduce modern and liberal ideas. These ideas were drawn from the writings of European Renaissance, Reformation and Enlightenment. Modern ideas that guided these movements were secular and liberal in their intent, nature and content. These ideas were the core ideas established by modernity. To conclude, let us summarize what we discussed today. We began our discussion by defining what is culture and what is meant by cultural change. We discussed nature of social reform movements in earlier times and discussed about Bhakti and Sufi movements and their core ideals. Subsequently, we discussed social reform movement in late 19th and early 20th century and discussed about what is its nature and why was it more effective as compared to social reform movements in past. We discussed about the contribution of some of the prominent social reformers. In the next lecture, we will start discussing about specific processes of social and cultural changes. Thank you. and welcome to video lecture series in sociology. Today we are going to discuss chapter 2, Cultural Changes, from your textbook Social Change and Development in India. This chapter is divided into two parts. The first deals with the social reform movement in India, and the second deals with processes of social and cultural change. In the previous lecture on this chapter, we discussed about social reform movement in late 19th and early 20th Indian society. Today, we'll discuss processes of cultural and social changes. These are modernization, westernization, Sanskritization, and secularization. We'll begin our discussion today with processes of modernization. The term modernization has a long history. From the late 19th and early 20th century, the term began to be associated with positive and desirable values. People in societies wanted to be modern. There are different variants of the concept of modern used in general discussions, such as modern, modernity, modernization. What do we mean by these concepts? Modern in everyday life refers to something new and up to date. It is predominantly characterized by mass production, consumerism, urban living, nation states, liberal and secular values. Whereas modernity describes the attributes of a modern society. And modernization means the process of societies becoming modern. Modern is a break from tradition. It is characterized by a specific set of values and ideas. In modern societies, social life is organized around formal rules and bureaucratic procedures rather than customs and tradition. Here, science replaces religion as a major source of intellectual authority. Let us look at the difference between modern and pre-modern type of societies and social structures. The pre-modern type of societies are agricultural economies having small-scale units of production. It has a small village community and small towns. In pre-modern societies, religion is the major source of knowledge and people follow traditional values and behavioral patterns. In these societies, aristocracy is the dominant class and peasantry forms the majority. The government is monarchical type. On the contrary, modern societies are industrial economies having large-scale mass production. They have large cities and urban centers. Here, science is the major source of knowledge, and rational goal-oriented activities are carried out. Dominant class is the capitalist class and industrial workers from the majority class. These societies are characterized by a democratic form of government. Modern societies developed from pre-modern societies through process of modernization. What is modernization? Modernization in general refers to the path of development that much of Western Europe and North America had taken. One of the most significant influence in the process of modernization was an intellectual movement known as Enlightenment. We cannot understand modernity or process of modernization without referring to Enlightenment. What is Enlightenment? Enlightenment is the period in the history of Western thought and culture, stretching roughly from 16th to 18th century, characterized by revolutions in science, philosophy, society, and politics. These revolutions swept away the medieval world order and ushered in modernity in the Western world. It was a period of intellectual upheaval in European society. This movement is called as Enlightenment because the scholars believed that they were throwing light into the gloom of a world which for a long time had been dominated by tradition, superstition, irrationality, and religious dogma, also called as Dark Ages of European society. Enlightenment was based on the idea of power of human reason and the rights of individual and commitment to social progress, which will bring about desirable social and political change. You may ask a question here that what made Enlightenment possible? Or how did new ideas of Enlightenment affect the economy, society, and polity? How did scientific progress promote trust in human reason? Let us understand the ideas behind the Age of Enlightenment. To understand significance of these ideas, we need to know what were the conditions prevalent in European society where these revolutionary ideas emerged. In Europe, people from all sections of society were discontented. Economy was agricultural, production was not enough even for subsistence. People were forced to follow unacceptable restrictions in society. The so-called government, usually the monarch and the aristocrats, did not respond to the needs of the society. On the contrary, masses were taxed heavily and unjustly. Religion was a dominant force governing all aspects of life. In this context, enlightenment emerged as a rejection of religion, dogma, superstition, monarchy, disorder. During this time, church, monarchy and aristocracy became prime targets of enlightenment. You may ask here, what made enlightenment possible? There are two important principles. The first is the role of reason. During this time, science was epitome of reason and rationality because it produced objective knowledge of the world that was not conditioned by religious superstition. Enlightenment stressed upon the use of reason and rationality to understand and explain the world. The second important principle is the confidence that human beings can use this knowledge to transform the world for better. Scientific knowledge would give people more power and control over nature, and this power would be used to improve the human condition. For example, scientific developments would create more productive agriculture, more consumer goods, and medicine would reduce diseases. Thus, it was assumed that reason has the capacity to eliminate irrationality, and through reason, man could discover the laws that regulated society. Through rationality, man can progress and a perfect society can be established. As stated by Auguste Comte, the motto of the Enlightenment became to know is to predict and to predict is to control. Let us look at who were the people or the philosophers of Enlightenment and what were their concerns. The intellectuals who initiated or spread these ideas were called as philosophers. They were social critics, writers, political scientists, economists, and social reformers. These philosophers attacked traditional laws, institutions, and practices. They attacked everything that they considered to be unreasonable or unnatural. They believed that the people had the capacity to make the changes that would make life better for them. For them, future was bright. The philosophers and their ideas were not confined by national borders. Even during the time of war or social unrest, they corresponded with each other as usual. The roots of the movements were found in France and England, and soon it spread to Scotland, Germany, Italy, Spain, and other parts of the world. Sociology as a discipline emerged during this time only, as an attempt to make a sense of massive changes that were taking place across Western Europe. The fact that societies could be transformed so radically led scholars to explore the sources of social order and change, and thus came discipline of sociology into existence. Just as natural scientists used reason to explain natural world, in the same way sociologists attempted to use reason to explain the social world. These thinkers or sociologists believed that human reason could be used to combat ignorance, superstition, and tyranny and build a better world. There had been a number of scholars who had challenged the church's view of the world long before Enlightenment as well. However, again, what was distinctive about Enlightenment is that it was a social movement whose influence spread beyond the scholars and borders. Technological developments, particularly printing and transport, led to spread of ideas of Enlightenment to large number of people. These ideas were debated and discussed widely. So what are the core social ideas of Enlightenment, or what core social ideas Enlightenment attempted to establish? They rejected the slave trade and slavery. They condemned religious prejudices. They advocated for freedom of speech, attacked divine right theory, and established that all men are created free and equal. Enlightenment urged education for all, and they challenged unequal distribution of property. The philosophers believed that government should be freely elected, as only a freely elected government can ensure order in society. They advocated for separation of powers, and separation of powers is the best way to protect human rights and liberties. For them, every social, political and economic problem can be solved through use of reason. The two ideas that appear as important ideas time and again in the philosophy of Enlightenment are liberty and equality. What do we mean by liberty and equality? Liberty includes the notion of individual, human rights and self-determination. It incorporates a type of government in which people are sovereign, and it establishes the importance of a representative assembly and written constitution. Equality means equality of rights, civil liberties and opportunities. Equality means equality before law and no special privileges given to the rich. Equality also means careers open to talent. That means careers open through achievement rather than hereditary ascription. Although there were obstacles in the way of reshaping of European society, such as kings, dogmatic churches, however, the forces of change triumphed over forces of continuity. So what kind of social, economic and political changes came about as a result of enlightenment? Let us look at some of the political changes. As trade and communication improved during this period, people began to challenge traditional forms of government, that is, monarchy. They wanted to be governed by representatives of people, write new charters, form new laws and write new constitution. As far as economic changes are concerned, during the late Middle Ages, people had begun to move from rural areas to towns in search of increased freedom and prosperity. This was a period of industrial revolution and industry came with a bang. In terms of social changes, a new class of merchants brought back wealth from colonies, which partially displaced the old aristocracy and emergence of industrial elite. Their power had been rooted earlier in the ownership of land. Now it was ownership of the capital. As a result of industrial revolution, a new class structure emerged in European society. And in the new social order, individualism, freedom and change replaced community, authority and tradition as core values. There emerged a desire to create social standards based on science, reason and rationality, not on the basis of religion and tradition. In sum, Enlightenment brought about a cultural change by establishing ideals of modernity such as liberty, equality, human rights, religious tolerance and self-governance. Modernity changed the character of world forever. These modern ideas were planted by colonizers later in other parts of the world, like what Britishers did in India. Modernity in the West was a result of Renaissance and Enlightenment that replaced the religious-based worldview and cognitive methods of Middle Ages. The institutions and basic ideas of modernity proceeded without legitimation from religion. Before modernity, monarchy, class hierarchy, jurisprudence, cosmology and education were very much under religious control and justification, whereas modernity replaced all these. Modernity assumes that local ties and parochial perspectives give way to universal commitments and cosmopolitan attitudes. Truth of utility, calculation and science in modernity take precedence over those of emotions, the sacred and the non-rational. The individual rather than the group in modernity becomes the primary unit of society and politics. So, the hallmark of modernity can be identified as the empirical scientific method, complex of industrialized nation states with their non-monarchical governments, freedom of religious expression and religious pluralism, and finally, science, rationality and reason. Intellectuals, philosophers and social reformers of early 20th century India were deeply influenced by these modern ideas and values. They attempted to introduce modernity and modern ideas in India through education reform policies and practices. Indeed, India embraced modernity, but it is manifest in a slightly different manner that we will discuss in subsequent lectures. To conclude, let us summarize what we discussed today. We started our discussion by discussing meaning of modernity and process of modernization. We differentiated between features of pre-modern and modern societies. We discussed the process of enlightenment and how this process led to emergence of modernity in Europe. In the next lecture, we will discuss about the processes of Sanskritization and Westernization. Till then, you can enjoy reading your textbook.